product featured in today's video was provided by Mattel for the purposes of this review. Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Masters of the WWE Universe Series 1 action figures. So, we've already taken a look at the Grayskull ring, which comes with the Triple H and John Cena action figures. That's the bundle, so if you haven't already seen that video, make sure you check that one out after this. This right here is the first wave of single carded figures. So this gives us Sting, the mysterious vigilante of justice, Finn Balor, the heroic demon king, Triple H, the evil skull king of kings, and the ultimate warrior, heroic champion of WWE Eternia. So of course, if you aren't already in the know, these are basically mashups of WWE superstars and Mattel's He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. And of course, I'm a big He-Man and the Masters of the Universe fan. I talk about that a lot on this channel, and I'm a WWE fan, so this is really fun to me. I love the weird mashup stuff just like this. I think there's some really cool designs going on here. Plus, the figures themselves are in that vintage 5.5-inch barbaric kind of action figure styling, much like the vintage He-Man toy line, but these utilize the new Masters of the Universe Origins bodies, which are a little more articulated. So that's for the new He-Man line coming out later this year. So it's kind of neat to see this new body type debut here with these WWE figures. And we're going to go and check these out to see if they're worth picking up for you, depending on if you're a WWE fan, a 5.5 fan, or He-Man fan, or whatever the case may be. So one of the things I really like about these actually is the packaging. So the packaging is designed to look like the vintage Masters of the Universe toy packaging. It's got the exploding rock design in the background, but the colors are a little different. Instead of the red and blue of the vintage He-Man toy line, we've kind of got this like almost purple color scheme. You can also see the Grayskull wrestling ring in the background with the laser ropes there, which is very, very cool. The Masters of the WWE Universe logo up here is a really neat amalgamation of the vintage He-Man logo and the classic WWE logo. I think that is pretty cool. And you can see they've all got this little yellow burst that says that they are highly articulated for posing power. So that's really fun. The back of the packages are really cool. Let me flip all of these around here because the homage continues to the vintage Masters of the Universe line, but this is absolutely where these figures shine as far as the carded versions go. So first of all, we've got the cross sell on the back, shows all 4 figures in the first series, but we've also got these really cool illustrated action shots, which is reminiscent of that vintage He-Man toy line, so very cool. Kind of shows you the scorpion claw, how it pinches clothes and everything for Sting. We've got removable accessories for Finn Balor. Over here with Triple H, again, removable accessories, removable armor for Ultimate Warrior also. But I love the artwork on the top, which is, again, like such a throwback to the amazing artwork that we got on the back of the vintage Masters of the Universe packages. Really cool stuff that puts the WWE superstars in this very barbaric setting on WWE Eternia, which is just a hilarious mashup of WWE and the Eternia name, the planet that He-Man is from. So I love it. I love the packaging. I think it's a lot of fun, has a very vintage feel to it. But why don't we go ahead and rip these open and get a closer look at the action figures within. Okay, so before we get to the figures, one of the things I wanted to show you guys are these mini comics. This is another great nod to the vintage Masters of the Universe line because every one of those figures came with a mini comic packaged behind the figure, and you can see these from the packaging there. So we do have these little mini comics, though they are just 1 page. So you just get like a little bio for the character on the inside and 1 page. But these do feature some really awesome artwork there, which is very cool. So you got some great artwork there on the front of the character. You've got just a very small 1-page story to kind of let you know what's going on in WWE Universe. WWE Eternia. And then the back of the comics has a cross-sell. So I like that. I like all of the artwork. Look at this. I love how he's like fighting a demon. Like the Demon King's fighting the demon. What's going on there? It's crazy stuff. It is very cool. So we got Ultimate Warrior there. Look, it's it's the rocket ship. Is it the rocket fuel there? Oh my god, that's amazing. So great nods, obviously, to WWE or old school WWF. Look, we got Sting fighting a giant red scorpion, and he takes the claw at the end. So it kind of gives explanation for why the characters have what they have for weapons or why they're dressed the way they are. Kind of sets the stage for this fictional world of WWE Eternia. So I do think this is a really fun inclusion. So let's go and take a look at each of the figures one by one. I'm going to start with Sting, and just to bring in the tape measure, you can see that these do stand just over the 5.5 inch mark, 5.5, just like the vintage toy line of Masters of the Universe. Of course, in the vintage line, you know, they all had the squat-legged poses, but now these figures are much more articulated, so they can actually stand up straight. So what's really cool about these is they are sort of an amalgamation between your WWE superstar wearing their gear and some of the stuff you would see in the barbaric world of Eternia, or in this case, WWE Eternia. So you can see that Sting here does have this claw on one hand, which is very reminiscent of Clawful, a Masters of the Universe villain, which is probably also why it's bright red. And now in that mini comic I showed you, he fought like this bright red scorpion. To me, I think I would like this better if it was black, because scorpions usually are black in color, and the black would match his gear a little bit better. But I think this is where they were trying to get a little more Masters of the Universe, and that's why it's bright red. So you can see it's got like a little opening mechanism there, just kind of opens and closes. And you'll also notice that this is removable. You can actually just pop it off. It just fits right over the fist, just like that. So if you want to pull that off, you essentially just have a regular Sting wearing his wrestling gear, which is really, really cool. And this is a good opportunity to show you what to expect with the articulation on these guys, because it's going to be the same for all of them. The head is ball jointed. You do have ball-like joints at the shoulder, so the arms can go outwards, forwards, and backwards. The swivels are not at the bicep, but rather at the elbow. And then you have a single joint there at the elbow as well. You got a swivel at the wrist and a hinge at the wrist. You do just have a turn at the waist. You have the ball-like hinges there at the thighs, so they can go forwards, backwards, outwards, swivels at the knee, bend at the knee, and then the boots, you can see you got the hinge joint, so the ankles move up and down, and then you can rock the ankles side to side. So it's a pretty decent amount of articulation. It's a great way to modernize this vintage 5.5 style. Obviously, they are overly buff and muscular, so the proportions are much more like the vintage He-Man toy line. And here's something else that's really cool about this. So this is the Origins buck, the Origins body that I told you about, that's going to be utilized for that new Masters of the Universe Origins line. If you've seen any of my other videos about that, this is no surprise, but these guys are totally modular. So you can pop them apart at the waist, you can remove the heads from the ball joint. This is going to be really great for some mixing and matching there. I believe we can also pull them apart at the boots? I think this can come apart at the boots. Yep, there you go. So look at that. It's modular. I love that. I think that is really cool. So that's going to be for some neat mixing and matching. That's also going to be good for some of the characters who have armor that you can remove. So Sting there, I showed you he's got that claw, which just slides over his hand. He also comes with this crazy claw nunchuck thing, brand new accessory. This is not something that we've seen in Masters of the Universe before. You can see it's a little pliable there on the chain, but there's no painted details. He can like hold onto the chain kind of with his gripping hand. Let's see, we can kind of get him to grip it. It's a really weird weapon, but there you go. So there is Sting all decked out and ready to do some barbaric battle. Okay, so let's move on to Finn Balor. So they've got him with the Demon King makeup, which works out really great for the barbarian type style here. The armor that he's wearing, it kind of reminds me of Beastman almost, because the armor kind of comes up over the head. So I don't know if that's exactly what they were going for there, but that's pretty cool. Also, the tassels, which are kind of like whips in this world, they just clip right on the wrist. And what's neat about this is he comes with red ones and black ones. So you can kind of mix and match that. You can do like one red and one black, or, you know, two reds or two blacks. They don't really work at the same time. I mean, I guess you could, you know, because then they have to kind of clip on the thicker part of the wrist. But yeah, you could totally mix it all up. So that way he's got all the colors if you want to there. So I thought that was pretty neat. And again, those just pop right off if you want them to. You know, he's got the face painted like he would if he was doing the Demon King for his entrance. And then his armor, you can see you can detach it on the back. And this is where that modular system comes in play again, because this is where you would detach the waist to remove the armor, and then you can put the figure back together. These are nice and solid. They clip really good. You can see they work really well. So now he basically just looks like he's in his wrestling gear, with the exception of the fact that he's wearing like armor on his wrists. But again, that doesn't look too bad, and you can, you know, put the tassels back on there if you want to. So if you want these guys to just be like, you know, 5.5 wrestlers without the Masters of the Universe kind of aesthetics, you can pretty much do that with these guys. So there's your Finn Balor. Next up, we've got the Ultimate Warrior figure, which is very cool. He's wearing the bright orange and green, and he's got some yellow on there as well. So this is really cool because with him, they basically gave him a He-Man style harness. But this is removable by very similar to, like, you know, vintage Masters of the Universe. Like, look at that. You can pull that right off. You want to remove his head, so you can pull it over the neck there, and then just like that, and now we've got basically a regular Ultimate Warrior figure, because you got the tassels on the boots, you got the tassels up there on the biceps, he's even got the warrior symbol painted on his chest, so that is very, very cool there. But let's go ahead and put the armor back on the figure, and I'll show you how easy that is here real quick. I didn't need to actually remove the waist because you can just slide these notches back in on the back, and then we reattach the head like so. And Ultimate Warrior actually does come with one weapon in the form of this bright yellow spear. So this is a reused weapon. This is Ular's spear. For those of you who collected the 7-inch Masters of the Universe Classics line, it works just fine with a 5.5-inch figure, unpainted, but looks really cool, matches the bright neon colors of the rest of the Ultimate Warrior figure. The right hand is the open hand, so you can kind of grip that there. And we've got our Savage Ultimate Warrior, which, man, by the way, that just works super well for the world of Eternia, right? That's awesome. So then we come to my personal standout figure in this wave, and that is the Skull King of Kings, our Triple H. So this is our one bad guy in the wave. All of the other figures in this wave were heroes. He's our villain. He's our main villain on WWE Eternia. So, you know, it's interesting because we've almost got a mix of two different eras of Triple H going on here. So first of all, he's got like a big stylized sledgehammer, which is very cool. But then the armor and the skull mask, the helmet that he's wearing, you can see he can pull that right off there to reveal the Triple H face sculpt. This is obviously reminiscent of the kind of thing you would see Triple H actually wear at WrestleMania, right? For his entrances. It's even got this really cool cloth cape on the back. I love it. So it's really cool looking. You can remove all that just like I showed you. You can take this off here, you know, pop apart the torso, and then you just kind of pull it over his head. It's nice and pliable, so it's real easy to do that. And then when you put the figure back together, well, now we've got just a basic wrestler Triple H. However, this is like the long purple tights wearing Triple H. This is totally an Attitude Era Triple H right here. Maybe, you know, because he's even got the long hair, just like he did in the Attitude Era. I mean, like, this is DX. DX Triple H had these long purple tights. So I think that's pretty awesome. Like I said, it's kind of a mix because, you know, this is more King of Kings or Game Triple H. This is more your DX Triple H. But if you've got that Triple H that came with the ring already, you can see that one's actually wearing more of the King of King kind of tights. It's possible you can just put the armor on that Triple H, and in my opinion, looks really good. And in fact, it might even look better. So could be another way for you to display your Triple H if you want to do that. Now, I assume that they went with the purple tights on this one because it's got more of a Skeletor vibe, you know, since Skeletor rocks the purple. So that's probably what their line of thinking was there, and that's totally fine. I always actually really liked the purple tights there. I thought that was a cool look. So it's pretty neat getting that with this. This is, like I said, one of my favorite figures in this particular wave. All right, guys, let's do a little bit of comparison time. So, just for fun, one of the things that I want to show you guys is these new figures standing alongside some of the vintage Remco AWA action figures. Because I keep talking about the vintage He-Man line being a 5.5, but there was a vintage wrestling toy line that was in the same scale. So if you just want to collect some vintage style wrestling figures, this is what those look like side by side. And just in case you were curious, why don't we go ahead and stand these guys alongside some of the retro figures. Now you can see these guys are much bigger in scale to the retros, but this way you know what they look like. Yeah. Okay, so of course I keep talking about the Masters of the Universe Origins line, which is what body type these guys are using, and that's going to be the new retail He-Man toy line coming out later this year. But since we do already have one figure from San Diego Comic-Con last year, I'm going to throw that guy in there just so you can see these guys all side by side so you know what to expect. And that's going to do it, my friends. That is a look at the first wave of the Masters of the WWE Universe toy line. All in all, I really like these. I'm a huge fan of the vintage 5.5 scale. I'm obviously a huge fan of Masters of the Universe. I love WWE. I love mashups like this. But also, these are just fun toys. Like, seriously, these are well-made, really fun toys. And there's a lot of potential with these. These are a customizer's dream come true with the easily swappable parts. If you want them to be barbarians, you've got all the cool armor and weird bits. If you just want them to be wrestlers to fit in with your vintage Remco stuff, you can do that too. Like I said, lots of options with these guys. So these are Walmart exclusive. They are just now starting to finally hit retail. Some folks have also been finding them online. They started showing up kind of right at the end of 2019, rolling into 2020 here. So happy hunting, my friends. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button, leave me a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time, my friends.